Happy New Year and welcome to another edition of Power and Strategy TV. I don't have any fancy opening. As of yet, I haven't gotten that creative. So I'm going to do what generally works for me. I'm going to do the only thing I know how to do, and that is to speak honestly. I'm going to speak from the heart, and hopefully that gets me somewhere. Hopefully, this is mildly entertaining, but it may not be. But nevertheless, this is going to be one of those podcasts that's going to be a little difficult. So if you got a squeamish stomach, um, you probably don't want to be here today. If you are easy, if you're a pearl clutcher, I invite you to leave in advance. Shout out to Naima Buckner. Hello, she's in the chat room, my wonderful moderator. Always good to see you here. Shout out to the rest of my viewers. The view count shows 11. Shout out to the warrior Flavor Doza Jane and Janelle Santos. Hello. Happy New Year to the chat room. Happy New Year to everyone. We are officially in 2020. Happy New Year. Hello, I see Miss Devin Haley's in the house. So anyway, today's podcast is going to be called Flat Rate That Hoe. Well, what do you mean by flat rate that hoe? Now, I know some people are going to be put off by the title, but it is what it is. What am I talking about? Who am I talking about? Well, I recently got I got an opportunity to view the content of another female YouTuber. Now, I don't really view too much of this stuff because I have a life outside of YouTube and I don't tend to bathe in all of the minutia that's on here. But it was this video that was suggested on my homepage of YouTube, and the video is in my description. The link is in the description section. And the video that I'm talking about is the video by one name of Shira 7. I assume most of y'all know who that is. If not, go to the channel, check it out, and also check out the link in my description box because I will be referring to that quite regularly here. So anyway, I'm checking out this video. I'm listening to it. And as I listen to it, I'm hearing quite a few things, and it's not disturbing. Let me say that up front. What I heard was not disturbing. It didn't horrify me so much as it is, or so much as it validated what I've been saying for the past 10 years, what me and the Fat Mac have been saying, what me and Big Mike have been saying for the past 10 years. So when people say, well, why do you guys take the position you do? Why is it all about tricking? Why is it all about money? When these niggas on YouTube jump on YouTube and start decrying, it's not about money, it's about game, and so forth and so on. The problem here is, or the problem of patriarchy. Patriarchy lends itself to a specific, very blinding aspect of male chauvinism. What do I mean when I say that? Because some niggas are so hung up in trying to be supreme, they underestimate the game of their adversaries or their opponents. What opponent am I talking about? I'm talking about women. And why do I see women as opponents? Because what's happening here is we are engaging in the great game of mating, in the great game of sexual conquest. And in the great game of sexual conquest, make no mistake about it, that woman is your opponent. Because let's be honest, what we're all trying to do here is get laid. Now, I know that's very crass and that's a very crude thing to say, but it's a very honest thing to say. And this is the thing that a lot of people don't want to admit, and that I've said over and over again. Dating and sex is a very ugly business. It's a very ugly game, especially in the culture that we're living in, especially in the culture that we're in now, this quote unquote hookup culture. So before I go on that tangent, I'm going to get right back to the topic of this video. Flat rate that hoe. I'm looking at this video by Shira7, and what she's saying in here, the name of the video, I think, is No Time for Feelings. That's the name of the video. Again, I've enclosed the link in the section. No time for feelings, time for the money. Now, anybody that has looked at Shira, you know you can't take anything away from her. She's attractive. She's very attractive. You can't take that away from her. But that further lends itself to her credibility or lack thereof if anybody's really paying attention to what the fuck she's saying. So I'm listening to this video, and in this video, Shira7, who is supposedly a female dating coach, or she has become an authority on femininity. And I don't know how the hell that happened. I don't know how that happened, how that could happen if anybody would have paid attention to her damn videos. I don't understand how that could happen, but nevertheless, it can happen. Shira7's message is a message. I'm just gonna come out and say it. It's a message for hoes. And I'm not clout chasing. I'm not trying to disparage her name. I'm just calling it what it is. And I respect hoes that are upfront. I respect hoes that are honest. Doesn't mean I'm a wife one. It just means I have respect for someone who lets me know where they stand up front than someone who pretends to be something that they're not. It's a good thing you joined me today, Walt, because today's podcast partly concerns men like you. That's what today's podcast is about. But anyway, back to our regularly scheduled program. I'm listening to this video. And when I listen to this video, it's clear that this is a message for thoughts, hoes, arrogant hoes, strippers, and the like. So people have called me the thought whisperer. I have come up with a name for women like Shira7. Women like Shira7, I call them the nerd whisperers. And I'm going to explain what that means in just a moment. Happy New Year, Yusuf. Happy New Year to everyone in the chat room. Shira7 is a nerd whisperer, and I'm going to define that in just a minute, but I want to get back to this video. In this video, Shira7 was talking about all the ways that you deceive men, all the ways that you play up to and deceive men, not for the love, but for the money. It's always about the money. And that part of the game I can respect, because I have always said that at the end of the day, it always comes down to your money. I didn't say it was exclusively about your money. I didn't say the whole relationship was based on money. I said that it all comes down to the money. Does that mean the absence of love? No, it doesn't mean the absence of love. Does it mean the absence of genuine sexual attraction? No, it doesn't mean that. Does it mean the absence of compassion and respect between the two people? No, it doesn't mean that either. But what I was saying, and what we've been saying for the past 10 years, is that when you melt it down, your ability to provide and protect those things are of primary importance if you're talking about men and masculinity. Pay no attention to the ignorant blatherings of these niggas that are on YouTube talking about game. Pay no attention to these mindless mutton heads that are talking to you about the smoothness of their mouthpiece. We all know how that ends up, now don't we? We all know how that turns out, now don't we? No one wants to say that out loud, but some people have said it, but they haven't been listened to. The niggas that usually say this are niggas that are shiftless, no account. They're not going anywhere, anything in any way. So the only thing they have to depend on is their penis and their mouthpiece, and that generally doesn't take them very far. It makes them more or less overgrown children. But enough of that. Back to our regularly scheduled program. I'm listening to this video and she's talking about all the ways to deceive and get over on men. She's talking about play up to their fantasies, stroke their egos, everything that is necessary to get to the money. She's not talking about family. She's not talking about marriage. She's not talking about intergenerational wealth building. She isn't talking about any of that. The shocking thing is that the manosphere, the so-called black manosphere, which is so rabid about these things, has not uttered one word in protest. They haven't said one word about this at all. But then you want to get on Nicole Michelle's ass when she talk about secure the bag. And here's this ratchet openly talking about running game on niggas with money just to get in their pockets. I mean, she was so cold with it to the point where she was like, well, if they lose their job, leave them. She was so cold with it to the point where she was talking about if their mother died, leave them. Pretty much fuck them. You know, and again, there's no, I have no ill feelings because she's telling you where she stands. This is a mercenary. This woman is a mercenary. And so now the question is, who is she talking to? She said in that video that she's not talking to you if you make under $100,000 a year. You ain't even in her conversation. It's not for working class men. If you make under $100,000 a year, she's not even talking to you. You're not even a part of her conversation. You're invisible. You don't exist. So what kind of person is she talking to? What kind of man, black, white, red, yellow, or otherwise, is she actually talking to? She's not talking to the Tony Maceos of the world, because at this particular point in time, I don't make over $100,000. I'm on my way, but I'm not there yet. But she's not talking to the blue collar brother. She's not talking to the man that works at UPS, FedEx, the post office, McDonald's. She's not talking to the school teacher. She's not talking to anybody in the military. She's not talking to the super. And she's not talking to any of the working class black men. And that's okay too. It is her right to have preferences. It is her right to have preferences. But let's really flesh this out. Let's really flesh this out, because realistically, she's talking to most of the niggas in the manosphere. What she just did, she just pissed on you. She just said basically your opinions don't count, your perspectives don't count. Why? Because you don't have any money. She's not even addressing you. You're not even on her radar. So now the question is who is she talking to? That's in these conversations, I always like to get clarity. I always like to know who we're talking to and who we're talking about. You know who she's talking to? She's talking to the socially awkward but sexually unaware successful black man. She's not talking to the Dennis Sperlings. And the only reason I'm bringing Sperling up is because he's an example. He's a person that most people on social media and Facebook know. Most people on Facebook or YouTube know, or black YouTube, let me say that. Most people on Facebook or black YouTube are aware. They know who Dennis Sperling is. But Shira is not talking about Dennis Sperling. She's not talking about guys like Dennis Sperling, because guys like Dennis Sperling would never let a Shira 7 in their circle. She couldn't even deliver their groceries. Guys like Dennis Sperling wouldn't even nut on Shira 7 to put her out if she was on fire. That guy would never give an audience to a Shira 7. She's not talking to a Tariq Nasheed, because Tariq Nasheed would curve her. She's not talking to those guys. The guys that she's talking to, again, are the socially awkward guys, the IT guys that make over $100,000 a year, the computer programmers, the computer engineers, the software guys, the investment bankers. She's talking to the creme de la creme, as it would be, of black men or of male society. The problem with that is she's not even talking to all of them. She's talking to the ones that she feels are victims. They are, and she actually used this word, they are her targets. She actually used the word target. So who is she targeting? The sexually awkward, the guys that don't have much experience with women, The nerds. The guy that makes $250,000 a year, but that is interested in cosplay. The gamers. She's talking to those guys. She's talking to the geeks, the nerds, the squares, those guys. She's talking to guys like Walt Joe 100. That's who she's talking to. She's talking to the guys like Walt Joe 100 that make over a certain amount of money. And what she's doing is she's preying on their vulnerabilities or their lack of experience with women in order to manipulate them sexually for a come up. Again, I have no disrespect for honest hoes. Wouldn't marry them, but I have no disrespect because, again, they're being honest. I can pop my collar to an honest hoe. But what does that mean for guys that are socially awkward? What does that mean for you? In this video, she was saying that she would personally play to your fantasy. She would personally play to your ego. She would personally pump up, your ego or stroke your pride in order to get access to your pocket. Now, what do you do with such a hoe? What do you do with such a hoe? This is what you do with that hoe. You flat rate that hoe. You flat rate that hoe. She even talked about manufacturing. We talk about this at Mac City at length. A female that will manufacture emergencies just to get in your pocket. The female that will call you and say, I just lost $200 and I'm fucked up and I need to go see my mother. Some type of emergency. They need to go see their mother. Their mothers are sick. They're about to get put out of their apartment, or some type of financial emergency that warrants you going in your pocket. Now, let me make an important description here. Let me break this down. If you are engaging in a fair exchange program with this type of girl, and that's what Shira 7 should be, she should be put on the fair exchange program. Unfortunately, well, fortunately for her, I shouldn't say unfortunately, fortunately, she found a sucker that would marry her. She found a sucker that would marry her. Because anybody that listens to this woman's podcast, you can clearly see that this is a whole, I'm sorry, it's a whole trick relationship. There's no other way to say it. That marriage is a whole, if her content is any indication of how she conducts herself, which it may or may not be, because people tend to embellish on social media. For better or worse, she's conducting a whole trick relationship. This is what a whole trick relationship looks like. Because she talks how hoes talk. She appropriates the vernacular. Not just the words, but the strategy and the approach of escorts, call girls, and strippers. So again, what she's doing is she's preying on those vulnerabilities of those guys that have low self-esteem and low confidence with women. And this is what I say, or this is what I would call the nerd whisperer. So when you come across a woman like this, and this is how she'll look. I hate to generalize, but I got to do it. They'll be very attractive. And I'm just going to call it out, guys. And it is not popular to say, but I'm going to say it. No one is supposed to say this. We're not supposed to say this because what we're trying to do is build up your ego, but I'm just going to say this. She's preying on you because you're unattractive. She's preying on you because you're non-select, whatever that means, or the definition of non-select. She's preying on you because you're socially awkward. She's preying on you because you have low self-esteem. She's preying on you because you have no experience with women. She's preying on you because you have no options. But she's preying on you because the one option you have is a high income. That's the one thing she wants. She wants your status and your high income and what that a high income can provide for her. Now somebody's going to say, well, no shit, Maceo. I'm talking to the guys that cannot recognize this. If you one of these too cool for school niggas and you got all this game, I'm not talking to you. Matter of fact, get the fuck out my chat room. I'm talking to the guys that don't exactly know what's going on. I'm talking to the guys that will be shook by how she looks. I'm talking to the guys that will be shook by her fat ass. I'm talking to the guys that will be shook about her dick sucking lips. The guys that will be masturbating and having wet dreams over her. I'm talking to those guys. I'm not talking to you. So again, she's preying on you. She know you don't have very many options without your status and your money. And it's nothing wrong with that. You use whatever you have to get what you need. But what I'm saying is you're going to pick up leeches. And this is a leech. Now, Maceo, isn't that a contradiction? Didn't you say that everything is about money? Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. That's why I was a person, or I am the guy that says I believe in the fair exchange program, as long as everything is above board. The only problem is that with a Shira 7, everything is not above. She's lying to you to get in your pocket. See, when you engage in tricking, no, I have to do that, beta male provider. It's not about being harsh to you. It's about showing who you're dealing with. You have to understand with whom you're dealing. And in order to understand with whom you're dealing, you got to be honest about who you are before you can be honest about what you're doing. See, a lot of y'all want to lie to yourselves and tell yourselves you're other than what you are because you have a lot of money. You want to lie and say you're something that you're not. No. Money, because you have $1 million, that doesn't change the fact that you may be overweight. Because you have $1 million, that may not change the fact that your teeth may be a little crooked. That doesn't change the fact that you may be physically unappealing. Now, you can use those things to correct and improve yourself. Shout out to C Boogie and his impending self-improvement summit in DC. You can use that to improve yourself, but don't let the money lie to you, because again, clothes don't make the man makes the man. Stop believing in these goddamn marketing slogans. To thine own self be true. So it's not about putting you down, it's about being honest with who you are and what you're dealing with. So when you're getting into this arrangement and you're dealing with these women, the most powerful thing you can do is to be honest about who you are. Because that's what gives you the advantage. If you're honest about who you are, you know when this bitch is lying to you. You know when she's stroking your ego. You know when she's running game to get money. You know that. And when you know that, you can flat rate that hoe. Because that's exactly what you should be doing. You should be flat rating that hoe. And again, how will you know that? How will you know? They'll be excessively complimentary. They'll be attractive. They'll be complimenting you above what your actual status and physical appearance deserves. Now, it doesn't mean that you let her tear down your self-esteem and your self-confidence by being so honest to the point where, it's humiliating and degrading you. No, that's not what you do. But when someone is over the top with praise and they don't have a relationship with you and they don't know you to that extent, if you don't have that time in the relationship that requires that kind of praise, then that shit is hollow. It's empty. It's game. If they're constantly manufacturing emergencies to get in your pocket, if every time you turn around after you have engaged in that exchange, because I'll give you an example. There was straight out of the files of Mac City, there's this one female that we call the Hydra. Go over to maccity.com and look at the pictures there. Go over there to the website and look at the pictures and look at the videos, and you'll know who the Hydra is. There was a scenario where what she would do is whenever Mike took her to go make money, whenever he would take her to go slang some ass, she would fuck so many dudes and she would get whore's remorse. And so when she got whore's remorse, then she wanted to stop because she didn't feel good about herself, that she was selling ass. And so what she would do is she would want to go, and then after she left the party, after she got the money that she was supposed to get by selling her ass, what she would do, she would either go home and smoke it up or party up, or whatever the hell she did with it. And she would call him and manufacture an emergency and say somebody stole her money, she lost her wallet or something to that effect. Someone was in her house and they stole her wallet or something like that. It was always something to where she said, well, I can't stay here. Well, why can't you stay here? Well, I can't stay here because somebody stole my money. Okay, if someone stole, I understand someone stole your money and you're looking kind of disheveled right now. So perhaps you need some time, to, uh, mull over this to see what you're going to do about this. You're looking kind of fucked up right now. So right now, what you need to do, you need to go home and figure out what it is you're going to do about it, and then holler at me when you get the solution. That's how you play past that kind of thing. You become very, very, I guess, condescending. I guess that would be the term. You become very, very patronizing. You become very, very sarcastic. Passive sarcasm, I would say. When they start pouring these litany of problems on you after you've already rewarded them, after you've gone through the exchange, you kind of quietly ease them on out the door, because that is what they're doing. And that's what they're running game on you. And that was what was in Shira 7's video. She spoke in there about specifically manufacturing an emergency in order to get a nigga to sponsor her to move into the town where he was. And when you are confronted with situations like that, when women pull that kind of stuff on you, when they pull these false flag operations on you where they're trying to get extra money out of you above what you've bargained for, you flat rate that hoe. The terms of the exchange are the terms of the exchange. If you agreed to 75, it's 75, no more, no less. The only time you go above the rate of exchange is if you feel generous, if you feel she's deserved it. Other than that, you flat rate that hoe. Because what she's doing when she's trying that, again, she's preying on you. This is a predator. These guys have been talking about fake femininity. This is what fake femininity looks like. This is fake femininity. When this woman is saying play with his ego, play to the fantasy, play up to him, so forth and so on. I mean, you guys go watch the video for yourself. You think I'm lying? It starts at about 22 minutes in. And about 22 minutes in the video, what this woman is actually telling women to do. And there are women actually listening to this. There are women actually listening to this. So when you're 22 minutes into the video, listen to everything after that and tell me if it's not a form of manipulation. Tell me if that's not predatory behavior. Tell me if she's not preying on a nigga with money. And it's not any nigga with money. It's a specific type of nigga with money. Because again, she would never be in the high-powered guy, the Dennis Sperlings of the world. Dennis Sperling wouldn't even talk to her. Dennis Sperling wouldn't have two words for somebody like this. This is the kind of woman that Dennis Sperling avoids. This is the type of girl that Dennis Sperling swerves. This is a flat rate hoe. You never let somebody penny pinch and bleed you by the death of 1,000 cuts. Because what this woman will do at a lower level, this is the type of bitch that will set you up to get robbed. She will set you up to get killed. This is the type of bitch that will forge your signature on credit applications. This is the kind of bitch that will give your money to another nigga. This is the type of bitch that will get in your whip. She'll get in your BMW that you bought her and fuck another nigga in the back seat. This is the alpha fucks, beta bucks chick that they're talking about. This is who they're talking about. When they're talking about alpha fucks, beta bucks, this is what they're talking about. And again, nobody in the manosphere has said one word about this video. I was waiting for somebody to make some type of response to this, but nobody has said a mumbling fucking word. This is worse than April Mason. Because April Mason, to some degree, though she had a modicum of fuckery and deception in her game, April Mason told you what she was. She told you she was a reformed hood rat. She told you who she was. This woman is posturing to be someone of high stature or of high post. She prides herself as being a progenitor, someone who promotes femininity. There's nothing about this this is a whole trick relationship. This woman is propagating and promoting whole trick relationships. Now, if you like whole trick relationships, that's fine. But don't delude yourself in, into thinking that it's something other than what it is. This is a whole trick relationships. And in whole trick relationships have flat rates. Whole trick relationships have flat rates. You flat rate that whole. When you come across, yeah, I forgot about that beta male provider. That's another one. Abortions. They need money for abortions. That's the low level hood hustle right there. When they need money for abortions, when they say you've gotten them pregnant and they want money for the abortions, and then they take the money and spend it off or fuck it off on something else and have the baby anyway and keep you on child support payments for the next 18 years. Yeah, that's a hustle. You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. But with holes of this ilk, you flat rate this hole. This hole gets the 75 or whatever you choose to pay her. This is the hole you flat rate. Now you may say, well, she's not charging the next guy. Fuck what she's charging the next guy. That's not your concern. That's not your problem. This is a whole trick relationship. This is a whole trick relationship. Whole trick relationships, holes have tricks in rotation. If you are a trick, you are in rotation. You have to make peace with that. You can't try to wife or cuff her. You are in rotation. The best thing you can do in a whole trick relationship is to get your money's worth. It is a fair exchange. It is a flat rate. I'm saying this again to the socially awkward guys that make a lot of money. You're being predated upon. You're being preyed upon. When you come across this woman, you flat rate this hole. You don't engage in a long-term relationship with her. You don't plan for a wedding with this hole. Do not get shook by her appearances. And I know you're not going to listen to that. I know you're not going to listen to me. But you can't say that you didn't have someone who didn't tell you. You flat rate this hole. If your 75 is 1,500, you do it. If it's 2,500, whatever you can stand to lose, you flat rate this hole. Because if you don't, she's going to have you in divorce court, because half of you don't know how to use trusts. You don't know how to use separation agreements. You damn sure ain't getting no prenup. What you're doing is you running up in her and you nutting in her raw with no protection. That's what you're doing. So when you come across this, this is a flat rate hole. You use protection with this hole. Matter of fact, when you finish with the condom, you flush the condom. You take the condom, tie it up in a knot, flush it, or take it with you out the door and dispose of it elsewhere. But you do not leave a full condom with this hole. You must always sleep with one eye open with this hoe. You do not go to sleep with this hoe in your presence. After you have conducted the mutual exchange, you usher her out the door. You do not close your eyes with this bitch lurking around your apartment or your home. So the moral of the story is you swerve this one. You flat rate this hoe. And again, I'm talking to a specific type of dude. The link is in the description box. The link to the video I'm talking about is in the description box. It starts at the 22-minute mark. But again, I'm asking, why isn't somebody responding to this? Nobody's saying a word about this. Nobody has one word to say about any of this. Not one word. Nobody in the manosphere has responded to this video. Nobody. Why not? Anyway, anyway, back to my point, you flat rate this hoe. And I can't repeat that enough. You flat rate this hoe. So now, so now, when you come across this type of female, the next rule, the next rule that you must observe, the next rule that you must observe, the next rule that you must observe, you cannot fuck on this girl constantly. You cannot consistently have sex with this girl. Why do you not consistently have sex with this girl? Because if you have sex consistently with this type of bitch, you're going to fall in love with her. And she knows that. She knows you're tender dick. She knows you haven't been getting very much pussy. So it's going to be her job to try to turn you out. And the more you fuck on her, you're going to let your guard down. You're going to let your defenses down. And then the bitch is going to gaffle you. That's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to let your guard down and you're going to get got. You don't sleep or you don't screw mercenaries consistently. You don't pull your pants down to mercenaries. This is a mercenary. You cannot fuck on mercenaries constantly. You engage in something that I call quarterly tricking. This type of girl, you fuck with her every 3 to 4 months. You don't constantly sleep with this girl. This girl will use pregnancy as a hustle, as a scam. You fuck with this girl quarterly. Quarterly tricking every 3 to 4 months. You do not share your bed consistently with a damn mercenary. So at the top of the program, I introduced a term called the nerd whisperer. What is a nerd whisperer? A nerd whisperer is a woman who seeks out socially awkward guys. She seeks out guys that don't have very many options when it comes to dating. She seeks out the guys that have been termed and designated as non-select for the purpose of preying on them. She's going to sit and she's not. Here's the thing. Most of you think that she's just going to come at you and be overly flirtatious. And that's a part of the game. But that's not how she's going to come at you. She's going to come at you in a way you least expect. So if you're a Marvel Comics fan, she's going to come at you talking Marvel comic storylines or Marvel comic books or Marvel comic characters. If you're into cosplay, if you're into gaming, she's going to speak the language of cosplay and gaming. And you're going to say, damn, a girl, a bitch that look like this is in the comic books? It's too good to be true. That's because it is too good to be true. It is too good to be true. It isn't true. She's going to come to you in a way that she doesn't appear to be deceptive. Now, are you saying that there aren't any girls out there that are in the comic books, that there aren't any attractive girls out there that aren't into gaming and cosplay? No, I didn't say that. What I'm saying is generally, most women that move and talk like this, they're not going to be in the comic books. What this is she's studying your habits so she can figure out how to open you up. Because now, if she figures out a way to open you up and engage in conversations with you, she takes away your burden of having to try to find a way to break the ice. So now she's taking the initiative on the date. She's taking the initiative in the conversation, because now if she can engage in icebreakers, if she knows the icebreakers, if she knows the things that you're comfortable or passionate about, it's going to put you to sleep. It's going to lower your defenses. And so when you look, you're going to look at that and you're going to say, well, wait a minute. How would she know that? How would she know that? How could she do that? She did that because she's nerd hunting. She's the nerd whisperer. She's looking for a guy like you. That is the girl that is going to turn you into a cuckold. That's the girl that's going to want to have an open marriage with you, whether you want to or not. Because once that ring is on her finger, she knows it's going to be hell for you to escape. That's why. No bitch that look like a porn star is in the comic books. Get real. Strippers don't read comic books. Escorts and Instagram models don't read comic books. Be serious. But they come to you with what you love. They come to you with whatever your passion is. They come to you with whatever you're interested in. But they are absolutely preying on you. They're studying you. And then you'll say, well, why did she change? Why did she change? She didn't change. Before, y'all could sit up and talk about the X-Men all night. Now that she give a fuck less about the X-Men. Matter of fact, she throw out all the DVDs. Matter of fact, delete everything on your hard drive that has anything to do with the X-Men. Why? Because she was running game from the start. She was running game from the door. It was all game. It was all a game. So while it was a game, you didn't think to have her to sign a prenup. When it's a game, you don't think about a trust. When it's a game, you don't think about a separation agreement. So that now when she's tired of you, she can just simply leave. And she simply leaves with all of the money that you've generated for all these years. She can leave you penniless after you gave your soul to accumulate all the wealth that you have at your disposal. She got you. She can leave now because you weren't thinking. You were caught up in the sex. You were caught up in how she looks. She's your ceiling. She's the best that you were able to do at that particular time. And she's really hot and you're shook over that. And you're not paying attention to anything else. You letting this woman give you excessive compliments that you know she doesn't mean. You know she doesn't mean that. You know you don't warrant that type of congratulatory praise. But it's feeding your ego. And again, she says this in the video. Go watch the video. She says in there to play to your fantasy. Your fantasy. So she's gonna do a whole lot of nasty shit that you've been dreaming about. She gonna suck your dick. She gonna let you nut in the face. She gonna let she's gonna swallow you. She gonna let you fuck her in the ass. She gonna let you do anything you want to do to her. She's going to be the convenient temporary hoe. She is going to conform to your wildest sexual fantasies. But the trick is just like the homosexual, that's not going to continue. The homosexual does that. He does that with women. He comes in there and gives them a whole lot of dick and gets them open. But that's going to stop after a while. All that fucking he doing to her, that's going to slow down after a while. Because after all of that fucking and all of that wild sex, then comes wealth extraction. Here comes all of the mind games. Here comes all of the abuse, the verbal abuse and emotional abuse. Here comes all the disrespect that's coming behind all of that nasty sex. That's coming in the door too. And that's what the nerd whisperer is going to do to the socially awkward guy. After she finishes fucking your brains out, after she gets finished faking orgasms, after she gets finished lying about the size of your dick, then she's going to become openly disrespectful and contemptuous of you because that's a game too. You guys should go read the 48 Laws of Power and go read The Art of Seduction and look at and read what Robert Greene talks about. He talks about this personality called the siren. This is a woman that is very seductive, very sexual, very promiscuous, but her emotions and her mood swings, they turn on a dime. So one minute she's all accommodating and cooperative, and the next minute the bitch is cold as a freezer. She's cold as the Alaskan. She's cold as the North Pole. She's cold as the Antarctic. She's cold as the coldest spot on this motherfucking planet. She becomes frigid in the bat of an eye. That's what a nerd whisperer does. That's how a hoe conducts herself in a hoe trick relationship because it's designed to keep your emotions on a roller coaster, which is what pimps does. The pimps do that to hoes too. Pimps, the way they control hoes without beating them, they keep them on an emotional roller coaster. They compliment them one minute, then they humiliate them the next. They compliment them the one second, and then the next they're telling them how worthless they are. That's the same thing the nerd whisperer is going to do to you in variation to a certain degree. She's going to tell you how wonderful she is, and then in the next breath, she's going to humiliate you. She's going to tell you how you are the top of the food chain. And in the next minute, she's emasculating you. She's cutting your balls off. The game is to rob you of your peace of mind. The game is to rob you of your natural reasoning and logical processes. So you can't see what's being done to you. So you can't see that you're being played. All the while, she's steady taking money from you. All the while, she's steady fucking a nigga somewhere out there in the street. All the while, she's steady running up your bank account, running up debts and deficits against your bank accounts and your assets. Because she don't have any time for feelings. It's all about the money. It's all about the money. But in order to get to your money, she has to confuse you by fucking with you emotionally. She has to confuse you by constantly shaking you up psychologically. That's a form of seduction. Go back again, read your 48 Laws of Power and read the story of Cleopatra and Mark Antony. Read the story of Lola Montez. These people will be very charismatic. They will be very charismatic. They're going to be very fun to be around because shit is exciting and it's unpredictable. But after the high comes the crash. After the high comes the withdrawal syndrome or the withdrawal symptoms, excuse me. After you snort that coke, if you don't have any more to snort, if you don't have any more drugs on hand, the withdrawal symptoms start to kick in. And you have to get more drugs. Well, it's like that with these kinds of women. The sex is the drug. And now once you're hooked sexually, now she can start withholding sex from you as a means of manipulating you. Because for non-select guys, I hate to say this, they won't admit it. Your dick and your heart is in the same place. We don't like admitting that, but it's the truth. Your dick and your heart is in the same place. Why? Because you haven't had very much experience. You haven't gone through the process of sexual vetting with these women. You haven't sown your wild oats, so you don't have a spirit of discernment. You don't know how to tell a hoe from a good girl. You can't make that distinction because you've never gone through that process. So every girl that make you shoot up on her chest or shoot up to the ceiling, you fall in love with. You're walking around tender dick, and they know this. So they set up on you. They prey on you. And they get you open, just like what this woman is talking about in this video. Because that is what she's doing. And that is what she is admonishing and encouraging other women to do. And there are actually women following her. There are actually women listening to her. Now, what she is not considering is that most of the women that are listening to her will never pull those high post or high price niggas that she is looking at or targeting. Most of them women that are listening to her, they're not gonna pull no niggas over $100,000 a year. That's not gonna happen. You know who they're gonna do that shit with? They're gonna do that shit with the dusty nigga on the block. They're gonna do that with the nigga that's going in and out of prison. So she's trying to teach hypergamy to a group of women that only understand and practice hypogamy. So the only thing that's going to do is create more bastard children. That's the only contribution she's going to make, because the women who she's talking to, they do not have the clout or the power to pull that level of man. I'm sorry. You don't want to hear me say it, but I'm just going to tell the truth. I'm just going to come out and say it. They do not have the clout. They do not have the skill set. They do not have the game to pull that quality of men. So the only thing she did is she created a whole chat room full of fucking sugar babies. Not particularly good ones at that. So Shira 7 is creating holes. If I didn't make myself clear, Shira 7 is creating holes. Her channel is the assembly line for holes and thoughts. That's who's listening to Shira 7. She is turning out an assembly line of holes and thoughts who believe that they qualify as sugar babies. She isn't saying anything about marriage. She isn't, and she doesn't have to. She can say whatever she wants to say on her channel. But she's producing people or women that have the idea of preying on you. So this podcast today is not for them. This podcast today is for you. I'm trying to save your life. I'm trying to save your wealth, because they're coming after you. And don't let anybody lie to you. Don't let anybody lie to you about this so-called economy, because it's a whole lot of shit that they're leaving out. What they're not telling you is that in this economy, in order to make it, you have to get 2 or 3 jobs. That's what they mean by the low employment rate. And they're not even looking at people that have dropped out of the labor force. They're only looking for people that are actively applying. As a person who deals with numbers, I'll tell you, people can use numbers. People do frequently use numbers to lie all the time. My professor used to say, numbers don't lie, or figures don't lie, Belial's figure. So they're lying to you, and they're using figures to lie to you. And as the economy gets worse, prostitution is going to explode. We've been saying this for the past 10 years on Mac City, that the tricks are going to come up, but we didn't tell you the other side of the game. And that was our mistake. We didn't tell you the other side. We didn't tell you that these hoes were going to become a lot more thirsty. We didn't tell you that they were going to become a lot more predatory. We didn't tell you that you're going to set yourselves up for a lot of schemes and machinations from very, very dangerous, desperate, and thirsty bitches. We didn't tell you that, but that's part of the game too. That's part of the game too. How many of these stories have y'all read? How many of these stories that you guys have looked at and you see these guys go to meet these women, these Instagram models, and they wind up getting shot or they wind up getting robbed? That's part of tricking too. That comes with the 75 too. The 75 is not just the money. The 75 is not just the money. It's also your intelligence. It's also your personality. It's also your cunning, your wit. It's your masculinity, because you have to enforce a relationship of respect in order to make that shit work. If you do not insist upon a respectful exchange between you and the other party, you're a victim. You're a statistic waiting to happen. So don't think it's just going to be a situation where you're just going to be able to throw money. Don't think it's going to be a situation where you're just going to be able to throw money at a woman and she's going to, no, they're going to be preying on you. They're going to be preying on you. B Money's in the room. B Money says eventually you get tired of being around a woman that got nothing to offer but pussy. Yeah, eventually you do. But by the time that happens, B Money, they out of money. That's the whole point. Once you get tired of dealing with nobody, with someone who doesn't have anything to offer but pussy, by then you broke. And about that time, that's when they're ready to move on, because they're tired of your ass too. They're sick of you too. They're sick of lying to you. They're sick of having to stroke your ego. So both of you are tired of each other. So that cuts both ways. He says setup's been a part of the game before the internet. Women used to lure dudes into rival neighborhoods to get viced. And yes, that's true. That's true. But I'm not speaking to the internet. I'm speaking to a specific set of guys that are vulnerable due to the fact that they haven't satiated or sown their wild oats, and they're thirsty for sexual validation through sexual conquest. They're thirsty for male validation by sexual conquest. Those are the men that I'm talking to. Those are the guys that I'm speaking to. You said you see the game miles away. Well, then this conversation is not for you. This conversation has nothing to do with you. I'm talking to the ones that don't see it. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the ones that don't see it. If you see it, fine, but it's not for you. This is not your conversation. So I don't need you to tell me you know the game. That's not what this is for. I'm talking to the ones that don't know the game. I'm talking to the Walt Joe 100s, because those guys don't know the game. Those are the guys that I'm talking to. I'm not talking to you. So I got some more questions here. Renaissance Man says, Tony Maceo, men who possess sexual discipline will win this game hands down. If all the women have to throw at you is their bodies, they're done. That's a big ass if. I could look at the statistics and see that most of these niggas don't have sexual discipline. I can look at the numbers and see most of these niggas don't have sexual discipline. So that's a big ass if. Rudyard Kipling wrote a poem about if. Go back and look at that poem about if, and then come back and pose that question to me again. Because we both know y'all ain't gonna stop fucking these women. We both know that. We both know y'all gonna fall for the easy pussy every time. We know that. So let's stop trying to pretend that you're gonna become Kwa Chang Kang from Kung Fu. You're not. You're not Kwa Chang Kang. You're not gonna go MGTOW. You're not gonna go red pill. You're not gonna do any of that. You just gonna keep fucking. So now all of a sudden, let's not sit here and play like we got all this sexual discipline in the world. Because if we did, we wouldn't have a 77 out of wedlock birth rate. So that tells me that these niggas don't have any type of sexual discipline. The bastardy rate wouldn't be high if we had all this sexual discipline. So I can't co-sign that. So now I got another question here. He says, do you believe there are more feminine women since there are more masculine women? If so, what feminine qualities should men see? That ain't my topic. If you want to talk about feminine women, you need to go over there to Inner Beauty TV. I'm not qualified to talk about femininity. I'm a man. So you need to go talk to a woman, or you need to go to Inner Beauty TV and listen to those videos and let them explain femininity. And I'm not getting, and that's another thing I'm tired of too. I'm tired of niggas trying to explain femininity. That ain't none of your business. You ain't supposed to be out here explaining how a woman moves. You're a man. So that ain't my game. You need to go talk to Nicole Michelle. You need to go over there and talk to her. Let her tell you what femininity is, because she's a woman. I'm not a woman. I'm a man. Let's see. Do I have any more questions here? Because I'm not going to be up here too long. I just wanted to do a beginning of the year podcast, seeing as though we are in the 2020. And I wanted to explain, because when we were talking about this power tricking game, or when we were talking about trick, we didn't thoroughly explain it. Or if we did explain it, nobody listened to what we were talking about. They never understood what we were saying in the first place. And I have to make this caveat. It's a shame I have to make it, but nevertheless, I have to make it. This is not for finding a wife. This is not for finding a wife. This is for short-term sexual gratification only. This is for short-term sexual casual sex. It's for short-term casual sex. It's not for finding a wife. The rules for finding a wife means you have to come out of the hookup culture. That is entirely different. This is for entertainment purposes only. This is for entertainment purposes only. This is for entertainment purposes only. One more time for the slow niggas in the back. This is for entertainment purposes only. My Cash App is in my description box. Don't ask me my links. My mod is putting up my links. It's in the description box. Pay attention to the chat, because it's in the description box. I don't know about the feminine qualities of men. I suspect that we do have some feminine qualities, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. So, again, back to the nerd whisperers. The nerd whisperers, again, they're predators. If I didn't make it clear before, the nerd whisperer is a predator, and she's preying on a specific kind of man. She's preying on the socially awkward male. She's preying on the man with a lot of money and a lack of sexual discipline and low self-esteem with very few options. That's who she's preying on. I got another comment here from Cowboy. Cowboy said, they got black men seeking validation through pussy. Yep, because you ain't got shit else. Yep, that's right. They seeking validation through pussy. You don't have any economic power collectively. You don't have any political power collectively. You don't even have any collective social capital. What you have is the capital or influence created through your culture, meaning your music, your fashion, television, radio, and film. That's all you got. And what little currency we can garner through our collective history, through the 60s, through the 50s and 60s. That's all you got. You don't have anything else. So yeah, there are niggas seeking validation through pussy. Is that a shock to you? Is that a surprise to you? What else you got? Explain to me, and don't come to me talking about Robert Smith, because you niggas don't share in his wealth. You're not going to get one, with the exception of maybe those guys at Morehouse. You're not going to share in the spoils of his success. So don't quote one nigga to me as though he represents the common black man, as though he is the representation of black men. We have selective black men. We have certain black men that have achieved a certain degree of success, but collectively you don't have shit. And in poor societies where people don't have shit, they generally rely on their sexual prowess to validate their masculinity. So yes, niggas use pussy as sexual validation. Is that a surprise to you? Is that a shock to you? These temperamental men in the chat are temperamental because here's the thing. Here's the thing I noticed. Women respect the game more than men. Women respect the game more than men. What I've noticed is that they said, well, women can't take the truth. I think it's men that can't take the truth. Because women have no problem with what I'm saying. The women in this chat ain't got one damn complaint. They don't have one damn degree of hostility against what I'm saying. They all understand what I'm saying. But it's always the dudes. It's always the dudes. Even when I came out with I Got 75, they were in here talking about I'm dirty macking. And the niggas that were saying I was dirty macking and then getting mad at me for dirty macking. Ain't that a bitch? So again, the dudes are more sensitive than the women. And in my hustle as a bail bondsman, I'll just come out and tell you, the women are more loyal to the men than the men are to the women. A nigga will give his bitch up in a heartbeat, tell you what room she's in, tell you what apartment she's in, look, you need to go around the back because she's gonna jump off the balcony. A woman 9 times out of 10 gotta be persuaded to give up a nigga. You gotta threaten a bitch to give up her nigga. But a nigga will give up a bitch in a heartbeat. So I'm not shocked. That women have more respect for the game than the dudes do. I'm not surprised at that at all. Because that's usually how it happens. That's usually how it works. So I'm not here. Please don't ask me about anything else. I'm not going to subsidize or promote anybody else. Don't ask me about anybody else's content. Don't ask me about any other YouTube person. I'm not getting into that shit. I don't promote anything but what I do. I don't promote anything but what I do. So don't ask me about the next nigga's approach. Don't ask me about the next nigga's method. I'm not here to promote their method. Don't come into my room asking me about the next nigga's method. Go ask him about his method. Don't ask me. I'm not here to promote his method. Tony, do you believe it's psychological warfare dealing with women? Anything having to do with combat has a degree of warfare to it. It's a competition. You're competing, it's a competition. So, yes, there is a degree of psychological warfare involved. Life up on earth is warfare. I think it was Amos that said that. Life up on earth is warfare. So, why would sexual conquest not entail a degree of warfare? Yes, I do believe that to be the case. Walt says, how long do they make you wait? My wife let me hit the second date, but made her current guy wait 5 to 6 months. You know what, Walt? Your situation is so extreme. Your situation is so extreme because it appears to me that your wife has more respect for everybody than you. She respects everybody else other than you. That's what it appears to be. It appears to me that this woman has no respect for you as a man. She has no respect for you as a human being. So when you say, how long do they make you wait? Generally, as a proposition, if we're talking about the hookup culture, you get it when you get it. You get it when you get it. So the best answer I could give you, the best answer I could give you is that it depends on whatever your purpose is. If you're in the hookup culture and your purpose is just to get you some pussy, you get it when you get it. If you're looking for a wife, it's probably not advantageous generally, it is probably not advantageous to just be jumping into bed with someone if you're looking for a wife. When we had a code of traditional values, the women that gave up sex easily, those were the ones you discarded. The women that made you wait a while, those were the ones that you respected. Matter of fact, there's a movie that I want you guys to see. It's on YouTube. It's on YouTube. It's called Nothing But a Man. It takes place back in 1964. Go back and check out that movie. Go back and check out that movie, and you'll see a lot of themes that are similar to what we're arguing about 50 some odd years later, 55 years later. Go back and check out that movie. Go and check out the movie Nothing But a Man. It'll change your views about a lot of what's been told to you. You'll find out that a lot of what people have been saying in Black YouTube just ain't true, or it's partially true. So anyway, Walt says here, I don't mind waiting, but Shira 7 is a string them out type. Yes, and that's why you flat rate that hoe. That's the point. You flat rate that hoe. You don't let her string you out. You flat rate her. You fuck with her on specific occasions. You fuck with her quarterly. You don't sleep with her constantly. This goes back to the question somebody asked about sexual discipline. This is why you have to have sexual discipline. Because if you're sexually undisciplined, you wind up in the situation that a lot of these niggas are whining and complaining about when they're talking about child support. You wind up in nasty divorces. You wind up in a situation where you lose everything because you didn't practice sexual discipline. Flat rating that hoe is sexual discipline. You don't wife that girl. And some people are going to say, well, there's no guarantee, because it's always somebody out there that want to regress the conversation down to the level of their niggadry and their ratchetry. Well, she can make you wait and still leave you. Yeah, nigga, she can make you wait and still leave you. You could walk out your door and get hit by a truck. Okay. You can get in your car and be pushed off a fucking cliff. But the odds of that happening are generally low. So for those people that always want to regress the conversation down to their level of ratchetry to excuse their low ass standards, I'm not talking to you either. If you want to be ratchet, be ratchet. But don't shit on traditional values and concepts just because you want to be ratchet. Just because you want to be niggerish. Just because you want to be grimy. Just because you want to be gutter. Go and be grimy and gutter. But stop trying to find a minute exception to defeat the damn argument. You just want to be gutter. Then go be gutter. Shout out to Dollar Will, my man's in the chat room. Kwame X, Miss Jones, Reigning Woman is in the chat room. But again, Miss Jones said it's heartbreaking. We have to have these conversations. We have to have these conversations because niggas haven't learned their lesson. A stage or a lesson is repeated until it's learned. We still haven't learned that lesson. So we keep repeating these lessons because we haven't picked up on these lessons. So again, you flat rate that hoe. That's the moral of the story. Flat rate that hoe. You flat rate that hoe. Reggie Lee says, if she finds me attractive enough to sleep with, I'm glad she didn't make me wait. So my question to you is, if she finds you attractive to sleep with, I would hope you still use protection, right, bro? Right? I would hope if she finds you attractive, that doesn't dull your senses to the point where you just run up in her raw, right? See, this is how you get caught up. Because see, in the hookup culture, what you got are a lot of women functioning under a whole trick dynamic. So what they do is they got the nigga that they want and the nigga that they need. And this is not news to y'all because they've been saying this forever. You've had podcasts about this forever. But in the hookup culture, you're in rotation. In the hookup culture, you're in rotation. So that means if she gets pregnant, you're in the lottery. You're in the lottery to determine who's the father. And here's the fact. You could not be determined to be the father and still be responsible for child support. How does that happen? How does that happen? That happens because they got a term for it. It's called biologically indeterminable. It's called biologically indeterminable. If the results of that test are biologically indeterminable, you could still be responsible for child support, even though you don't have a clear-cut designation whether or not the child is yours. And in the backdrop of what I've just been explaining to you guys about the past hour and 18 minutes and 43 seconds, that's problematic. But here's my thing though. Why don't we make distinctions? See, somebody will listen to She-Ra 7 and call She-Ra 7 a good girl. They will listen to She-Ra 7 and call She-Ra 7 a wife. As a matter of fact, it was a nigga that actually married her. He has my condolences, but he actually married her. I'm not going to go in on the brother. I'm not going to disrespect or drag the brother, but somebody actually married her. Why don't we make distinctions when it comes to the woman we should be married and the woman we shouldn't be married? The reason we don't make that distinction is Is again, what is that saying? The ones you don't want don't count. So if you don't want to fuck her, she don't exist. Well, isn't that sort of like you don't exist if you don't have any money and you're not otherwise attractive to them? The ones you don't want don't count. The magic doesn't happen with the eight, nines, and tens. The truly amazing females are not the eights, nines, and tens. As Donovan Sharp so eloquently pointed out, the eights, nines, and tens belong to the game, and it's a very specific reason for that. The eights, nines, and tens belong to the game because the eights, nines, and tens generally tend to be hoes. And the eights, nines, and tens are infused with whole logic, whole philosophy, whole morals, values, and ethics. And the only thing that can overcome that is time. The only thing to change a hoe from being a hoe is the wall. The only sobering reality for a hoe is the wall. That's the only thing that will bring a hoe to her senses is the wall. So that's why you don't marry them. That's why you don't marry. And they're always trying to sell this narrative of the hoe with a heart of gold. And that's true. Some of them do have a heart of gold, but that doesn't mean that you marry them because that's not your goal. That's fool's goal. That's fool's goal. That's why most dudes, most of the players, most of the hobosexuals, most of the guys that are really prolific womanizers. There was a book that came out called In Search of Good Pussy. I don't think it's in print anymore, but you guys should go look at that book. Go look up that book. I forget the man's name. I think his name is Spears, Don Spears. It's called In Search of Good Pussy. Go and read that book. And what you find out very quickly is the long-term game is not with the eights, nines, and tens. The long-term games are with the four through the sevens. Those are the ones that are wife material. But we're not talking about that type of woman in a hookup culture. The hookup culture is all about the hoe. The hookup culture is about the Instagram model, the stripper, the twerker, the hoes on World Star Hip Hop. That's what the hookup culture is about. The fours through seven are invisible. Nobody's discussing them. That's why they're left out of this conversation. Because just like the fours through sevens are better wives, their counterparts, the nerds, the lames, the squares, they make better husbands. So all of us are fucking people that we can't afford. That's the moral of the story. All of us are fucking people that we can't afford. The socially awkward dude, he can't afford to be fucking with a woman like Shira 7. He can't afford to fuck with her. Not on no long-term relationship. Not from a long-term perspective. You can't fuck with Shira 7 long-term. Shira 7 is short-term sexual gratification. And because she's short-term, she's good for short-term casual sex, you flat rate that hoe. Women that are good for entertainment purposes or short-term casual sex, those are the ones that get the flat rate. No matter what that flat rate is, whatever your flat rate is, whatever your fee is, those are the ones that get the flat rate. So I assume my position is clear. I hope it's clear. I hope I've explained myself to the best of my ability. But I would invite anybody, click on that link in the description box. Yeah, go ahead and give her little cheap ass views. And go over there and check out that video. And if I've spoken one word of untruth, if I've spoken one lie, put it in my comment section. Start at 22 minutes, listen to the whole thing, but it gets good at the 22-minute mark. And tell me if that is not the language, the custom, the ethos, and the philosophy of a hoe. Tell me, is that not whore logic? She sounds like Ronnie from the Players Club. That's who she sounds like. She sounds just like Ronnie from the Players Club. As a matter of fact, that's my new name for her. I'm going to call her Ronnie because her video is full of nothing but hoe quotes. Her videos are full of nothing but memorable hoe quotes. So go over there and listen to Ronnie 17 over there. Listen to it. Give her. I'm going to give her little cheap views. Go over there and check it out. And this is the hoe that you flat rate. You don't marry this girl. You trick with this girl. And even when you trick with this girl, there are only certain parameters and rules and scenarios under which you trick with this girl. You do not trick with this girl often. This girl is a magnet for a pregnancy scam. You fuck this girl often, you're going to end up on child support. Even when there are 4 other niggas that have already banged her. This type of female, she keep a pregnancy scam waiting in the wings. No, she ain't a gold digger. She ain't a gold digger. Nope. She ain't a gold. She's married. She's married. She's married. Her podcast is the gospel and the epistles for whores and thoughts. It's the whole Quran. That's what she's publishing. The whole Quran. They're epistles on high-powered prostitution. That's what it is. Somebody said in here, Kwame said he wants me to go into the dynamic of a wife. Like it's self-explanatory. It's not complicated. The dynamics of that is disrespect. I mean, what don't you get? After she's in, you become a nuisance now. She don't want to smell you. She don't want to touch you. She don't want to be around you. She just wants you to keep paying those bills. And all that pussy she was giving you, that's going to stop now. Because before you were a window shopper, now you're a customer. Now you're a customer. You're not a window shopper anymore. So now all that sex you're getting, that shit is out the window. She's going to blatantly insult you. She's going to blatantly disrespect you. She's going to blatantly emasculate you in front of other people because the only thing that matters to her is you keep paying those bills. There's no concern, no compassion, no consideration for you whatsoever. That's the dynamics of her relationship. It is truly a business transaction in the rawest sense. Well, Tony, aren't all marriages business? Yes, they are. But he married a mercenary. This man married a mercenary. You do not cuff a mercenary. Nafia said, I've heard other women talk about her. I watched one video once and it felt great. That's because it is grimy, baby. It is grimy. It is grimy. It's grimy. It's gritty. It's gutter. It's the whole Quran. So it's gonna be grimy. What are you surprised about? It's grimy. She's a grimy broad. This is what she's doing. This is a grimy broad trying to hit a lick. She's trying to come up. This is what she does. And the women that are listening to her. You should ask yourself, what kind of women are listening to Ronnie? Her name ain't Shira, her name is Ronnie. What kind of women are listening to Ronnie? Hoes, thoughts, skanks, wanna be sugar babies, and wanna be divas. That's who's listening to her. That's who's listening to her. So when you come across a woman like this, and you'll know it, you know how she moves, she'll always be manufacturing emergencies. She's going to be excessively promiscuous, and she'll never answer a simple question directly. That's a whole tactic too. When you ask her a simple question, like how she feels, she'll get all abstract and go around the world with you. Just so later, if you come back and tell her, well, that's not what you said in the beginning, she'll say, well, I never told you I loved you. I told you X, Y, and Z. She's trying to do everything she can so that you don't have anything to confront her with when the relationship goes sideways. So she can always have plausible deniability. You can't convict her of anything because she never really said anything. Anytime you ask her any questions having to do with how she emotionally feels about you in the relationship, it's always these broad, vague, and ambiguous ass terms. You know, the shit like, well, I don't love you, but I'm in love with you. That type shit. I don't love you. I'm in love with you. And there's a difference. Talking in circles, an overuse of semantics to keep from answering the question, to keep you from knowing that she running game on you. That type shit. If your conversation is full of nothing but uh, circular talk, circular reasoning, and semantics, if she's just trying to flesh out every little minor exception when it comes to the relationship and how you feel, she's telling you something. She's telling you she don't really like you. But she ain't gonna come out and say I'm conning you for your money. She ain't gonna come out and say I'm here for you. And here's the thing. Here's the thing. Most dudes can accept you wanting them for their money, but they can't accept that you want them only for their money. And goes back to what I said. What they said, well, Tony, you're talking in circles now. No, if you go back to the 48 laws of power trick, and what did I say? If you can't find something else to bond with a woman with other than your money, that is a mercenary. If the conversation is about your money, it's mercenary. If you want to know what a mercenary looks like, you guys go back and watch Boomerang with Robin Givens, Eddie Murphy, and Holly Berry. That's an excellent example of a mercenary relationship. That's an excellent example of a mercenary relationship. And what these women tend to do a lot of times in sexual encounters, when you're sleeping with them, they will deny a dude his post-coital moment. What is post-coital, Tony? What does post-coital mean? These are the women that after you fuck them, they get right up, put on their drawers. Sometimes they don't even wash up. They get up and put on their drawers and walk right on out the door and go home. They deny you your afterglow. They deny you the closeness. that occurs after the orgasm. That's the postcoital moment, the moment after the orgasm, the moment after you bust your nut. That's the postcoital moment. She's businesslike, she's detached. Because all good hoes, even when they selling pussy, act like girlfriends. A good hoe will act like a girlfriend. She will give you the girlfriend experience. The best, the most successful hoes, such as they are, will give you the girlfriend experience. That's why there is a such thing as the girlfriend experience. That's where the term comes from. They will give you the girlfriend experience. But when a hoe just jumps up and puts her clothes on, again, don't even wash up. And some of them girls, some of them hoes get up after you just nutted in them and won't wash up and put their panties on and go on out the door. That's a mercenary. You have nothing to bond with this person with except over money. You flat rate that hoe. You spread her out. You don't constantly sleep with her, because if you constantly sleep with her, just like just like men can open women up sexually, women can also open men up sexually. You get familiar. That's why you don't trick with that hoe all the time. That's why you give that hoe some distance. That's why you spread her out. That's the only way the flat rate will work. Because if you're sleeping with her constantly, she's going to be constantly in your pocket with these manufactured emergencies. She's going to be constantly in your pocket giving the money to the nigga who she really want to fuck. Because now what she's doing is she's slow pimping you if you're constantly sleeping with her. And when women get to a point where there is no respect for you, you are in trouble. Now you're in a position where they will be sucking your dick and they will leave the door open for you to get robbed. Now you're in a position where they will call you out to a park somewhere, at some secluded spot, and set you up to be robbed, because there is no respect for you. You weren't paying attention. You went to sleep. You didn't notice all those little subtleties that you should have been paying attention to, but you're not paying attention to because you're constantly fucking her. She is sexually sedating you. She's putting you to sleep. That's why you trick with her quarterly. That's why. That's a girl, a mercenary. You should swerve a mercenary, but I know most of you are not going to do it. That's why I'm saying this. If you're going to deal with that type of woman, that's the type of woman you deal with every now and then. You do not consistently answer her phone calls. You do not consistently run to her beck and call. She's a mercenary. Reggie Lee says you don't pay for her to stay, you pay for her to leave. She's not your girlfriend. You're absolutely right. I never said she had to stay, dog. I said she denies you your postcoital moment. She should leave. That's not a contradiction. She should leave. She should go. You don't close your eyes with that bitch walking around your house. You do pay her to leave. That's exactly my point. You do pay her to leave. But it's how the exchange goes. My argument goes to what happens before, during, and after the exchange. How she reacts to you during the exchange. If a bitch is emotionless with you after the exchange, if there's no small talk, there's nothing, they just get up and put their clothes on. Yeah, you want her to go, but you don't want her back in your house again. You don't want her lingering in your house again. She's emotionally fucked up. And someone that is that badly damaged, will do some bad shit to you. That's the point. It's not getting her, or you're not asking her to hang around and stick around forever. You're not asking the bitch to move in. You're observing how she acts during the exchange. How does she conduct herself during the exchange? The geishas of Japan were excellent in that they had more than one trick to expose a man to. There was a high degree of social intelligence. They knew how to conduct conversations. They knew how to engage men. Your best call girls and escorts know how to engage men. That's the point. That's why you flat rate that hoe. That's why you don't let her stick around and bleed you to death through false flag manufactured emergencies cooked up to constantly get money out of your pocket. Disrespect is like cancer. If you ignore it and it metastasizes, you're done. You're finished. Raining Woman asks, how popular is she on YouTube? I never heard of her either until here recently. But apparently she has a lot of subscribers. Apparently she does. Yep, that's right, because she teaches women how to scam and play men. That's exactly what she's teaching them. That's exactly what she's teaching them. She's teaching them how to scam and how to play men. So if you engage this kind of woman, if you engage this kind of woman, you hit her ass with the flat rate. If she does not accept the flat rate, you walk the fuck away. Because a woman that's thinking like this, she's coming at you with a high degree of predatory intelligence. You're not going to be able to sustain the distance with this woman. This has nothing to do with marriage. This is a whole trick relationship. That's what this is. She's teaching women how to conduct whole trick relationships. That's what this is about. Whole trick relationships. And it's really, if you stop and think about it, it's really some low level pandering shit, because she's pandering her audience. I'd be willing to bet you her audience is a bunch of damn single mothers. A bunch of damn single mothers in the hood. And I'm not shitting on single mothers in the hood. Don't get it twisted. She's shitting on the, excuse me, she's trying to spin the hopes and admiration. She's trying to spin the hopes and aspirations, I should say. She's playing on the hopes and aspirations of single, poor mothers in the black community. Women that are never going to be able to be sugar babies. Women that are never going to be able to land millionaires. She's selling them a pipe dream. Some shit that will generally never happen. Now, this pretty woman syndrome, this pretty woman disease, this pretty woman complex that a lot of y'all have, that some nigga gonna magically come along in a white Maybach and just sweep you up. No, that's not gonna happen. I'm sorry to tell you, it's not gonna happen. And what I mean is, let me qualify that statement. You walking around with 5 or 6 kids and you want the crystalline Karazen experience? Not gonna happen, boo. Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. You want some nigga to come through in a white Maybach, you got 5 or 6 kids to come through the projects and sweep you up and just put you, it's not gonna happen. I'm not trying to bust your bubble. I'm just keeping it real. It's not gonna happen. But if she can sell you that fantasy, if she can sell you that dream, then you'll increase her subscriber count. You may even buy whatever it is she's selling. So if you're talking about pandering, nobody panders more than Ronnie 17. Again, I got the link included in the description box. The link to her video is included in the description box. You can play it, sweetheart. Just I didn't want to do that because I'm still learning how to operate this damn thing. I don't really know how to operate it. And what will happen is I'm not trying to get my channel struck. She don't know who I am. I'm probably too much for her to pay attention to, but if this video becomes viral and if people start reporting back that I put her shit up, she could strike my channel. And I'm trying not to let that happen. But go click on the video and start at the 22-minute mark and listen to what she's saying all the way out. No, I think the guys have gone to sleep, Janelle. I think the guys have gone to sleep. I don't think they are listening. I don't think they are listening. I think I hurt their feelings. And that's okay. I'm okay with that too. Because again, the women ride harder than the men, unfortunately. This is what I've seen. The women ride harder than the men. So they're probably upset with me right now. And that's okay too, because I'm not here to be liked. You said she's a legit sociopath. Well, it's a lot of people listening to this legit sociopath. It's a lot of people that takes what she says as the gospel as far as relationships are concerned. And again, nobody in the black manosphere said one word about this. But they got all this smoke for Nicole Michelle, but they letting this bitch just, roll around like shit is sweet. There has not been one word of protest uttered against this video and the ones just like it. Not one. Not one. Not one. Not one person has said anything about this video. This is worse. What she's saying in here, if they want to talk about April Mason, this is worse. Because the argument was that April Mason was preying on the good brothers. If this ain't preying on the good brothers, I don't know what is preying on the good brothers. This is openly predatory. This is openly disrespectful. This is openly disrespectful. My favorite troll is in the room. He says they have talked about She-Ra 7. Tangentially, in passing, and nobody addressed this to the degree that they've been talking to Miss Nicole Michelle. Nobody has came at her and called her a fake femininity culture influencer. Y'all niggas don't say nothing about her. You say less than nothing about her. You say less than nothing about her. So if her name is mentioned, it's mentioned tangentially. So don't come in here like they've been doing videos on Shira, on Ronnie. You go in a chat room, you niggas. I see some of you niggas in a chat room trolling, but don't nobody make any videos about this. Nobody make any videos about this. Nobody's saying one word about any of this. This video was made around Christmas, and I haven't seen one response to this. I haven't seen one response to this. Someone said I should write the 48 laws of power tricking. I have an ebook coming out called The Bible, The Trick Bible. I have an ebook coming out called The Trick Bible that I'm working on. I'm actually composing the Tricks Bible. So stay tuned. That will be coming out. The video is in the description box. The video is in the description box. I've said that 100 times. The video, the link is in the description box. Obsidian did a broadcast talking about all the feminine. No, he didn't. No, he did. I heard that video. I heard that video. That video predominantly did not focus on Shira 7. That video predominantly focused on Nicole Michelle. Nice try, but try again. I heard that video. I'm talking about this shit that I heard on this video. Nobody said one single word about. And the rest of our videos, not just this one, the rest of them, no one has taken her to task for any of this material. No one has taken her. If they address her, they address her tangentially when they really trying to get at the person who they really trying to spit venom on. I'm talking about this content specifically. No, they have not. Nice try though, but no cigar, nigga. No, they have not. So you can try that one again. You can tell that to somebody else. So now I'm back to the thesis of my podcast. This is a whole you flat rate. This is not a girl you marry, because any marriage with this girl is a joke. It's a joke. He says O'Shea made a 10-minute video about her lying about kids and age a while ago, but he lumped her in with the other femininity influences. That's what Walt says. That's what Walt says. So why aren't there more videos is my question. Say, okay, she made a video. I'll give you that. They did a video on her. So my question becomes, if that's the case, and I retract the statement, why are most of the videos on people other than her now? That's my question. Why are most of the videos on Nicole Michelle and Shira 7? Because you're talking about her looks and her age, but in these videos, she's specifically talking about how to play niggas. I mean, she ain't even hiding this shit. She ain't even hiding it. It's blatant. It's blatant. And why would anybody lump her in with other femininity influencers? Why would you compare someone who's saying get married and have a family with someone who's saying play on a nigga's insecurities? Why would she even be lumped in with someone who has a different message? So again, why isn't that done? Because if they talk about fuckery, if they want to talk about fuckery, this is fuckery. If they want to talk about fake femininity, this is out. This ain't even fake. That's the killer part. She's telling you she's running game. She's telling you how to get over. She's telling women how. She ain't even hiding it. She ain't even hiding it. At least April Mason is trying to disguise what the fuck she doing. At least she's trying to say, well, no, that's not what I mean. I go hard. She's saying she gives two fucks. If you don't make over $100,000, she ain't talking to you. You don't exist. You are invisible. Donovan Sharp is going after Shira and Michaela Pink before. I'm not talking about Donovan. Donovan is black and he's a man, but I don't think they include Donovan in the black manosphere. We all know that Donovan Sharp is not in the black manosphere. So no, that doesn't count either. He says, I think because of the fact she doesn't hide it. She doesn't hide it. Well, shouldn't that be called out if she doesn't hide it? I mean, she's being openly deceptive. She's saying run game on niggas. Isn't that fuckery? So if what you're saying didn't make sense to me. So it's like this. If somebody tells you to get married and have a family, but yet you got all the smoke in the world for them. But here's a bitch saying openly get over and manipulate niggas. And you say, well, I can't really say anything because she open about it. This bitch is being open about how to deceive you. Do you know how you sound? You sound like a crackhead. You are employing crackhead logic right about now. She doesn't hide it. Black men can clearly discern her mission. So that means that nobody discusses it. Can clearly discern it when she's telling you how to get over and prey on other niggas. So that's but you can't discern. What you're telling me is the person that's saying the shit you want to hear, that's the one you go in on. But the one who's saying shit that you don't want to hear and the shit that you don't want to be involved in, you let them slide. You let her skate. You ain't got no words, no smoke for her. You just let her skate. Cynthia G also said was out in the open. But y'all made videos about her and still making videos about her. She out in the open too. Y'all been clowning Cynthia G for the past 2 years. And she been out in the open. So why isn't someone saying anything about this woman? I'm sorry. That just doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't. And the more you try to rationalize it, the less sense it makes. The more you try to explain it, the more fucked up it actually is. But anyway, I'm coming up on 2 hours and I'm about to shut this down. And I just wanted to do this podcast because it's New Year's Day and I'm going to go back to watching Game of Thrones. My favorite character is Tyrion Lannister. That's my favorite character. That's the dwarf trick. He's my favorite character on the whole series, and I'm binge watching uh, Game of Thrones on this New Year's Day. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your holiday. I just want to give you a little something to think about. I just wanted to give you a little distinction as to when to use the flat rate and what the whole looks like that you should be flat rating. So if you want to holler at me, my links, if you want to contribute to my show, the links are in my description box. My Cash App link, my Patreon, and my PayPal. The links are in the description box. He's at home today, anti-gravity. Big Mike is at home. I texted him earlier. I think he's running some errands today. He said he was running some errands and paying some bills. So I'm probably going to do a podcast with him next week. And on that note, I'm sending a shout out to the Fat Mac, MacCity.com. Go over there to Mac City Limits Podcast on Patreon. Go to MacCity.com. Check out the website because this nigga is giving y'all receipts. And it looked like if somebody would give you receipts, his Patreon should be jumping and his channel should be jumping. The channel should be jumping because Mac City is my home too. It should be jumping, but I guess when you give niggas receipts, niggas don't want the real. They only want the fake. That's the bad thing about social media is that it enables all this bitch ass anonymity. So nobody respects the real anymore. So with that being said, Happy New Year. And I'm about to be out here. But wait a minute. Actual Factual is back. He said the Black Manosphere accepted Miss Nicole Michelle at the beginning. Yeah, they did, but they changed when she came with the secure the bag mantra. And I know why they changed. They changed with that. And they were on some bullshit with that. They were on some bullshit with the secure the bag. They want and the niggas that were complaining about it the most, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it, they were broke, dusty niggas. Most of the niggas that were complaining about her were exactly the men she was talking about. Those were the loudest voices in the room, were the very niggas she was talking about. So their dissent is not accepted. I'm sorry, it's just not. The loudest voices were the ones she was complaining about. So with that being said, Happy New Year. I'm up out of here. Y'all enjoy yourself. Until next time, this has been another edition of Power and Strategy TV. Again, my links to my PayPal and my Patreon and Cash App are in the description box. Support the channel if you choose. If you don't, oh well. Until next time, I will holler. I'm out of here.